to introduce our guest today, Dr. Paweł Sztarbowski, who has served since 2014 as Deputy Director for Programming at the Zygmunt Hubner Powszechny Theatre in Warsaw. He studied philosophy at the University in Warsaw at Theatre Studies at the Aleksander Zelwerowicz Theatre Academy and received his PhD in the Humanities from the Institute of Art of the Polish Academy of Sciences, where he defended his dissertation, Theatre and Solidarity. Previously, he was head of theatre promotion at the Zbigniew Raszewski Theatre Institute from 2006 to 2011 and deputy director for programming at the Polish Theatre in Bydgoszcz, where he also led the Festival of Premieres from 2011 to 2014. He's the founder of Nowa Siła Krytyczna, New Critical Force, and has written widely on theatre for Polish and international journals. He has edited the volumes Liberated Energy and Teatr Wspólnoty, and teaches dramaturgy at SWPS University, the Theatre Academy in Warsaw, and the Higher School of Computer Science and Management affiliated with the Polish Academy of Sciences. As a dramaturg, he has collaborated with leading Polish directors and worked both on stage productions and radio dramas. His original play, Samosiera, received the Grand Prix at the Two Theatres Festival in 2011. He is laureate of the Bydgoszcz Mayor's Theatre Award in 2013 and Kujawian Pomeranian Marshall Theatre Award in 2014. Now let me hand the floor over to our guest, Paweł Sztarbowski. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. And thank you very much for the invitation. It's a great honor for me to show you my professional past, because before I begin, I would like to briefly clarify my current professional situation. I'm no longer working at the Powszechny Theatre in Warsaw, where I worked as a program director between 2014 and 2025. And the new management of the theater has announced a different vision for this institution, emphasizing that theater should primarily focus on creating and presenting performances. Today I work at the Stefan Jaracz Theatre in Łódź as the main dramaturg, where we are currently preparing two European projects for Creative Europe that explore new ways of connecting theater with local communities. So it's also connected with the topic of your project. And these projects focus on building relationships between cultural institutions, residents, and civic organizations. And they continue my long-standing interest in the social role of theater and its interaction with the urban environment. So let me open my presentation about my 11 years of work at Powszechny Theatre. The title of my presentation is Theatre as an Urban Agent. So this case of Powszechny Theatre in Warsaw will present this idea. So I would like to speak about the impact that a theatre institution can have on a city, a district, and civil society, using, of course, this example of the Powszechny Theatre in Warsaw. And my talk will focus on three main dimensions. First, the theatre as a political and social actor. Second, the theater as an urban institution embedded in a neighborhood. And third point, the theater as a platform for collaboration with NGOs and civic movements. Through this case, I hope to show how a theater can function not only as a cultural venue, but also as an agent shaping urban life and democratic culture. Theater that gets in a way. The program of Powszechny Theater was inspired by a phrase coined by the theater director and former legendary director of this institution, Zygmunt Hibner. And he spoke about the theater that gets in the way, the theater that intervenes in politics, social life, and people's most intimate secrets. And this phrase became the motto of the institution during the directorship of Paweł Łysak and mine as deputy director. And the idea was simple, but I think radical. Theater should not be neutral. So instead of treating theater as entertainment or aesthetic production, we treated it as a space for public debate, a place where social conflicts become visible, a laboratory of democratic dialogue. And from the beginning, so from this 2000, since 2014, we tried to redefine the role of a public cultural institution. And we ask a basic question: what responsibilities does a theater have towards society today? So our idea was to perceive the cultural institution, the theater, from repertoire to program. So it was important shift concerned the way we understood the artistic program, because traditionally a theater's repertoire is simply a list of productions. But we wanted something different. We wanted a programmatic theater where performances collectively investigate important social questions. So instead of focusing only on texts or classics, we focused on topics, and around this topics, we tried to build some connections with the titles, with the texts. Some of the themes explored in our productions included the rise of fascism in Europe, but also in the world, post-communist transformation, migration and refugees, feminism and gender equality, ecological crisis, the influence of capitalism on culture, the condition of democracy. And these themes were addressed in productions directed by important contemporary artists, but also by very young artists, directors. The aim was not simply to present artistic works, but to generate discussion around urgent political and social questions. Crucially, each premiere was accompanied by debates, lectures, workshops, exhibitions, meetings with activists and scholars, etc., etc. So in this way, the theater became a public forum rather than only a stage. Of course, let's say the main and maybe the most important event and premiere during our work at Powszechny was the premiere of The Curse, directed by Oliver Friedrich, but I will speak about it later. Now I would like to speak about theater in the city and in the district. And so, however, to understand the role of the theater, we must also look at its urban context. The theater, Powszechny Theater, is located in the Praga district of Warsaw. More precisely in Praga Południe, so South, Praga South, one of the most historically complex areas in the city. Unlike most of Warsaw, which was destroyed during the Second World War, this district survived relatively intact, but for decades it was neglected and stigmatized. Praga was often perceived as dangerous, poor, marginalized, socially excluded. At the same time, it retained a very strong local identity and community structure. When we began developing the program of the theater, we realized that we were the only major cultural institution in this part of the city. Therefore, we could not act as an isolated cultural enclave. Instead, we decided that the theater must become an active participant in the transformation of the district. Our engagement in the neighborhood developed along two main directions. It was our activities in the district were the part of program for the revitalization of Warsaw and of this district, Praga district. So the first step was supporting local communities. So we collaborated with residents, local activists, local artists, neighborhood organizations, small NGOs, artists living in Praga district. So the theater became a meeting place where different groups could interact. And second step or second direction was changing the image of this district. For many people in Warsaw, Praga district had long been associated with poverty and social problems. Through cultural activities, we wanted to show something different. And Praga as a place of creative energy, artistic experimentation, and civic participation. In this sense, theater became an urban factor participating in the revitalization of the district. it was also connected with additional money from the municipality. And unfortunately, after some years, this program of the revitalization was cut. And we as a cultural institution stayed with this open ideas completely alone, without any support from the municipality. So it's also open question to maybe to Q&A, to talk about good models of work like this. Sorry. Yes. So what was also important for us, we spoke about the idea of stepping outside the black box. A key idea guiding our work was that contemporary cultural institution cannot remain inside the theater building. The traditional black box stage is not enough for contemporary cultural institution. So we began to organize projects that extended into urban space. Examples include neighborhood festivals, street events, public debates, community garden, collaborating artistic projects, etc., etc. One very important example was Open Ząbkowska Festival, which transformed a street in Praga district into a cultural promenade. And during this festival, streets were closed to traffic, courtyard became performance spaces, artists, residents, NGOs, activists, local activists organized workshops and events, and the street became a temporary public cultural space. We organized this during the holidays with the strong collaboration with local organizations. So this initiative demonstrated how culture can reclaim urban space for community life. Now I have some slides about our strictly artistic programs, so about the performances and the titles and topics of our performances. But for today's meeting, for today's lecture, it's not so important, I think, because we are talking about connections between institution and the city, but we can see some of this is the slide about the curse based on Wyspiański's drama. Director was Oliver Friedrich, and after the premiere, because it's a performance about power of Catholic Church in Poland. At the end of the performance, the crucifix was cut, so there were a lot of demonstrations in front of the theater building for some weekends, and during one weekend there were about 1,000 people who demonstrated in front of our theater. So yeah, it was very important performance, and this performance, I think, showed that it's possible to create, repertoire and topic and social influence of the institution and political impact of the institution also on the stage. Yes, that it's possible also by creating the repertoire. Um, Yes, of course, we invested a lot in the education and participation. Education was an important element of our theater's mission. We developed programs for children, teenagers, teachers, seniors. Instead of traditional lectures, these programs used participatory theater methods, and participants were invited to create performances, discuss social issues, reflect on their own experiments. So the goal was to develop critical thinking and civic awareness. Yes, this is, for example, the slide about the play we made in collaboration with the Theater 21, theater with disabled actors. So our actors, actors from our ensemble, were connected with non-professional actors from Teatr 21, Theater 21, and we created super play together, and it was for some seasons the part of our repertoire. What was very important for us, it was collaboration with NGOs. So it was crucial dimension of our work. Many of our projects were developed together with NGOs working in areas such as migration, human rights, social inclusion, cultural education, anti-fascism, etc., etc. One key partner was the Strefa Wolnosłowa Foundation, so Free Speech Zone Foundation, an organization focusing on artistic projects involving migrant and refugees. And together with Strefa Wolnosłowa Foundation, we developed international projects addressing migration and intercultural dialogue. And one example was the European project Atlas of Transitions, which involved partners from many countries and explored migration through artistic and research activities. And this project combined theater productions, workshops, research activities, because one of our academic partners was Center of Migration Research at the University of Warsaw, and community engagement. So in this way, theater became a bridge between artistic practice and social activism. these slides are about our projects on Ząbkowska Street. I mentioned about this project. This is the workshop led by Strefa Wolnosłowa. Yes, so we, in addition to all these projects, we also develop projects focused on community building. And one example was a City of Happiness festival. The festival placed in the streets and organized with local communities. It was also the part of this revitalization program of the Praga district. For example, we created something like Park Opera, because Powszechny Theatre is located near to famous Skaryszewski Park. So it was really nice event, opera with sounds of the park and opera promoting the ecological ideas, ecological issues. So yes, we created a lot of events like this. But what was we also create Powszechny Garden with local partners. It was in front of our building. But what was important for us was to build social coalitions. So our work with NGOs is gradually evolved into something broader. We saw that cultural institutions have the capacity to connect different social actors, and this included activists, researchers, meet neighbors, organize workshops, discuss environmental issues. And this project was inspired by the idea that urban space influences social relations and well-being. So the garden functioned as both a practical ecological initiative and a symbolic experiment in building community. This is some pictures from the garden. Yes, and what was also very important for us in this idea of building social coalitions, it was Forum for the Future of Culture, a platform for discussing the role of culture in contemporary society. The forum addressed issues such as feminism, ecology, LGBT rights, labor movement, self-organization. And this debate were not abstract discussions. They were directly connected to current political tensions and social conflicts, because it was during where the leading party in Poland was Law and Justice, far right wing and very conservative party. What was also the point of start to a lot of political tensions and social tensions. So by hosting such events and activists, organizations, the theater became a space for civic dialogue and democratic engagement. And it was also an opportunity to build coalitions with other institutions, because the point of start for the future of culture was Congress of Culture, also organized by Teatr Powszechny in 2016. Of course, we were the organizers because we worked as let's say umbrella for a lot of civic movements and NGOs and social coalitions. And what is let me conclude with some broader reflection, because all these activities led us to rethink the structure of the theater itself. We asked how a cultural institution can become more democratic internally. This included flattening hierarchical structures, encouraging participation among employees, strengthening collaboration between departments. In other words, we tried to make the institution itself reflect the values it promoted publicly. And when we talk about theater, we often focus on aesthetics, repertoire, artistic innovation. But the case of the Powszechny Theater in Warsaw, of course, in this season 2014-2025, suggests a different perspective. That theater can also function as an urban institution, a civic platform, a partner of social movements, an agent of democratic culture. Its impact goes far beyond the stage, and it influences the identity of neighborhoods, the quality of public debate, and the reflectionship between citizens and institutions. And especially in times of political polarization and social fragmentation, ecological crisis, I think that cultural institutions may become increasingly important because they offer spaces where people can meet, disagree, imagine alternatives, and collectively think about the future. And perhaps this is what Zygmunt Hübner, the patron of Powszechny Theater, meant when he spoke about the theater that gets in the way, the theater that interferes, a theater that intervenes in reality, that refuses neutrality, and that participates actively in shaping society. Thank you very much.